Okay. So what I wanted to close on,
Yeah.
um, just a quick, actually, a couple little tags or whatever before we close
Sure.
on something else. Did you um uh, uh, are any of your colleagues leaving the US or making plans to leave the US because of what's happening?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. I have a couple of very good friends who have left the United States, and I have several friends that are seriously trying to figure it out. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a real circumstance that we're seeing that, people have quote unquote threatened to do that, or, if this happens, I'm leaving, but I'm actually, yeah, I've seen that a little bit for
I
reals.
I I can't imagine you want to volunteer their names, but um
No, I probably shouldn't.
no, no, no. But it's I'm trying to get my finger on the pulse of like to what extent that's happening because
Yeah,
the people who read my website are interested in that and
yeah.
want to know about it. And there's been a few people who have told me in interviews, point blank that like I'm out.
Mhm.
Um, and I totally respect what you said about talking about, I don't even like to call it a political situation because it's so much more than that. It's like
Yeah.
it's just it's culture, it's life, it's everything. But can you tell me just some ways um that you uh I don't wanna- it sounds so cliche to say stay positive, but like how you deal or how you manage to um keep functioning and also most importantly because this is really what the series is about is keep your artistic process
Yeah.
intact and you know yeah yeah
So yeah, I'm definitely happy to talk about all of those things. I really just don't like to get in the weeds about specific
totally
happenings. This week this is happening, and that's terrible.
yeah
This week this is happening according to this person. So,
right
but on the broader social level, yeah, I mean it's a really stressful time.
yeah
Uh, it's impacting people's mental health dramatically. People are having, um, and I am very protective of my own mental health, my own physical health, and then I'm very protective of, my family as well. And so so that's why I do keep some guardrails up, and I do a lot of different things. At first, it's being pretty disciplined about everything. At this stage in my life, I'm a very disciplined person. Like I get up early on Saturdays, and I'm getting stuff done but stuff that I want to get done, I get it done, early. I'm an early riser, early to bed, but I do all the things to fuel my body and mind where it feels as strong as possible. I think that's understanding that our brains and our bodies are a machine, and we
Mhm.
have to put good gasoline in that machine, or
Mhm.
it's gonna not run well,
You've
so
always
that
been disciplined though.
yeah, it is discipline, and sometimes it's really boring. Like I like to think of myself as pretty boring these days, happily boring. um And where I used to just run myself ragged and maybe stay out all night and do X, Y, and Z, and just kind of go with eat whatever, drink whatever, stay out. Now I'm very disciplined about sleep, diet, exercise, meditation, going to a therapist every other week.
Yeah.
Yeah, working out 4 or 5 days a week, getting 7, 8 hours sleep is like a lot of people, because I do have so many, I teach, I have a couple businesses that I'm involved in, I'm an artist. People are like, when do you sleep? I sleep 7 to 8 hours every day.
Good for
Um,
you. Yeah.
I make sure I'm in bed at a certain time. You know, almost every night, and
Yeah.
then I'm in bed by 11 so I can be up at 6:30, so
Man.
or before that. I have a puppy right now, so sometimes it's before that. So um
Were you in the military?
no, this was not me. But that's what I'm saying. This was not me even 10 years ago. This
Uh-huh.
was not me. No. This is something that I learned that because of my age,
Uh-huh.
I've aged into having to do these things.
Yeah.
And I think the world is more complicated where I can't just freewheel it through the world.
Mhm.
I have to be more disciplined with myself
Sure.
to make sure that I keep myself strong so I'm good to myself and good to other people. I don't want to be in a crappy mood or stressed out
Yeah.
for my wife if I can help it, or for people. I can't go to work and be in a bad mood and collaborate with my students or
Yeah.
my colleagues.
Yeah.
Like I have to be kind of on my game, and I want to be on my game. I work at a couple small businesses. I have a lot I need to get done.
Yeah.
I need to wake up and be able to have clear thoughts, not have a bunch of emotions running through my head and
Yeah.
get it done. And that takes some discipline.
This is
Which
Trump. This is Donald Trump's gift to you.
it's just a necessity that the past, you know, going back to maybe it was 2016, but it certainly COVID,
Yeah. Yeah.
certainly
Hmm.
that we had to make some decisions. Who are we going to be? These are tough times. How are we going to get through this, and what are we going to do when we make it through this? So um, I also am a big uh, and again, because I do teach and research a lot, the one thing we have to realize is I think a lot of people don't realize is that we are still changing dramatically into our 40s, 50s, 60s. People really have this misconception that once they've imprinted their identity in their 20s and 30s, like that's it. That's who I am. I and then now I'm just living what the world gives me. But really, you're changing if you look at it from uh, again, I come back, I just got out of graduate school. I finished another degree where we were talking a lot about this sort of stuff and figuring out how the mind works and how development works and stuff. And got to realize that we're changing dramatically in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And a lot of people get stuck. And I think that's maybe in prepping just a little bit for this talk. I think that's where some of the anxiety and frustration comes in. Well, this is who I am, and this is what I do every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and all these factors are different, and now this sucks.
Right.
But
Right.
But there's so many things you can do to evolve and strengthen yourself. There's also a lot of power that a lot of us have. Maybe we don't have the power to switch out the politician that we don't like, or
Sure.
the policy that we don't like, or God, for us, it's the interest rate that my house is stuck at the moment. Like I don't have that power, but I have other power to do different things to make an impact. And if I don't quite have the power or the knowledge to do that, I can go out and work on building that knowledge, building that skill set, building that influence. So I stay incredibly busy, but I do it with things like, I work with a number of nonprofits and help them with projects, whether it's building a recording studio at a community center.
Hmm. Hmm.
I have the power to help them design, and I'm not the best at it, but I'm okay at it. And I don't have a ton of time, but I have a little time, so I can go meet with them and I can make some phone calls and get some free gear, some discounted gear, and stuff like that. Or I can do a little training session at this museum and help them, their artists work on how to think of themselves as freelance artists and put their toolkit together to go out and make a little bit of money from their visual art or things like that. We all have power to make change, and I don't. I think sometimes we just feel stuck. Like this is who I am. This is and the world is changing, and it's changing a way I don't like it,
Right.
and now I'm just mad.
Right.
And so I think I think that's a part of that's just, and again, this is just my opinion, so people might rightfully disagree with me. And then I think the other thing is there's such a we all know that there's such a polarization, and we all think that, or not all, that's I hate to completely goes against what I'm about to say. It's very easy to think in absolutes, like
Yeah.
that the other side is crazy.
Sure.
We're right. My crew is right. That crew is crazy. I think part of a balance is I live in Chicago half the time, and I live in a small rural community out in the woods half the time. And the positionality of those communities are very different
Mhm.
when it comes to everything.
Mhm.
And my wife being from the city, we first bought our house out here. We bought it in during COVID. She would hear a gunshot and she'd be like, "Oh my God, someone's shooting a gun. What's wrong?" I'm like, "Brooke, they might be target shooting. They might be
Yeah.
shooting like hunting." She's like,
Mhm.
"That's why would they do something like that?" That's what you do out here. Like that's
Right.
an important part of the culture out here. There's nothing wrong with that. She's like, people like shoot guns for fun out here. I'm like, yeah, they do that. So it's like there's positionalities, but if you think about one thing like gun control, which is a very, hot button topic, but if you think about the positionality, the perspective of people in Chicago versus people in Galena, Illinois,
Yeah.
and Galena is pretty moderate because there's a lot of like it's a tourist town and everything, resort town, ski town. So it's pretty moderate, but if you just think about that, but all around us pretty like farms and small towns, but the positionalities and the epistemologies for the actual fact base
Mhm.
in these two places are totally different. So
Yeah.
having some respect and trying to understand and investigate the other side. And again, that one example, I use the gun thing because if you just really drill down into why maybe guns are more important out in this area for just normal everyday use, then I mean, maybe our house, there's no people in sight. There's not a single
Yeah.
house that we can see. So maybe you feel safer. Maybe a police officer can't respond within 30 minutes if something really goes wrong, like someone's breaking in your house or someone's really something really wrong is going on. So maybe in that case a gun is, I grew up with on my grandparents farm a lot of the time, and they used guns for protecting their livestock, protecting their farm from
Mhm.
intruders,
Mhm.
and that's just how you live. So just that basic policy is just one of many that's so polarizing. But if you look at both sides, you can see the positionality of both sides. But of course, politics and media are built to make everyone feel like the other side is destroying what's best for them. So there's this whole panic mode that both politics and the social media and traditional media are trying to get you to pay attention to, because that just makes them more money. They're trying to invoke panic, and they're trying to get you to pay as much attention constantly, 24-hour news cycle to what's going on. You have to listen to me all the time or something bad's going to happen. These
Yeah.
people are destroying your well-being,
Yeah.
and the same thing's happening over here.
Mhm.
But if you just try take a second to step back,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. And I'll say one final thing is, like, I just finished um, graduate school, and I've taken some certificates. I finished my doctorate recently, and I went back and revisit.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Um, my third round of economics courses. Economics comes into a lot to play to what we're all talking about when it comes to politics. And like I said, our interest rate sucks right now in our house. I'd love to refinance it, but until you really study economics, how good are you arguing true economics? Are you arguing the
Yeah.
position that your political party has told you is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
position on economics? Because
Yeah.
once I actually sat down with a family member my dad, who is very conservative, he's a tax lawyer, so he's inherently conservative when it comes to economics. Once I just studied with a very notable economist from USC, and I was like, look, this is how this breaks down. And we had a very rational, and I understood his positionality and how he wants to protect his clients. But I told him, I have a very rich understanding of economics because I've have 3 business degrees, all of which were economics courses. This is how this, in my understanding, works. This the
Mhm.
same school, Wharton, where Trump went, is where my professor was a program director. And this is what he says, but he is really not very political. He's an economist, and he says this. What do you think? And I got to some very common ground, but I think it's just so hard with those polarizing voices making us panic to get to that common ground. So
There is, I think, a lot to be said for the currency of attention,
yeah,
and
yeah.
how,
It's all impressions. Yeah. It's all
you know,
it's all, getting people to pay attention to you
right,
and feel like you have to support them and give them money and time.
yeah,
And that's power. They want power, whether it's money or time.
right,
And
right,
the way they get that is by making you feel like the other side's out to get them,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
And it's extra sad because it's like it feels in a way like what other resource do they have to take from us? Like we've gotten to the point in society now where like with automation and AI and everything else, and even the industrial revolution, it's like, well, we've got these millions of people, what are we going to do with them? Well, we at least steal their time, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad in that respect. Um, Man, I really, really, man, just to have just what you said there. Um, is worth having this conversation, and
Cool. Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful to have you shared that with me because the thing is like somebody who's open, considers myself to be open-minded, and open to change. What you said about the fact that when you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s that you're still changing, and that your mind tells you that you're kind of settled in a certain type of personality. God, man, that rings so true. It just yeah, that's gonna be something I'll be thinking about for quite a while. And
That's cool. And I mean, I think first I want to say, I talked about the doctorate and all that, and as much as that's been
yeah,
very helpful, the more I've learned and I think this is the universal truth. The more I've learned, the more I learn that how much I don't know. I think
right,
that's also something really important. There is so much information and so much knowledge out there. And that's why I still am continuing. This is just me because I'm a weird introvert that likes to do weird projects, but I'm constantly trying to learn things because there's so much out there
yeah,
that we do not know as individuals that we can constantly pick up in the time that we have. And some of us are very busy, and want to just take a break. But for me, I enjoy pockets of learning new stuff, and I
yeah.
think and certainly I want to also say I'm no expert at anything. I still
Well,
am just figuring it out myself.
so speak for all himself. It reminds me of that Neil deGrasse Tyson quote. It's like one of the beauties of life is understanding that um for all that you think you know about a certain subject, the beauty is actually finding out or accepting the idea that you don't know everything about it, you know, and like I
Absolutely.
butchered that quote, but it's on my YouTube ads all the time, so I should have it down pat, but
I'm not good at quotes or remembering who said what or any of that sort
yeah, but oh man, Justin, I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been
Yeah,
speaking with you.
thanks.
Really. Are you comfortable with me posting some or all of this as video, or do you want
Yeah,
me to
it's
try?
fine. Yeah,
Is that cool?
yeah, yeah.
Um, I've just been doing that recently because I find that some of these subject matters, like in the conversations, they just work so much better visually. And
Yeah.
also, the rumor is that kids can't read anymore. So I like I like to present the videos, and I have a couple of things that I wanted to get to, but I think I'm going to save them for the next time. So
Okay. I'd love to do it again. Yeah, just let me know.
if you feel good about the conversation we've had this morning, you know, do you feel good about the conversation we had this